staying stable. I feel able to turn the tables. I could do this. Just keep moving, keep your hands up, stupid. I feel lucid, a new viewing. I can see the end, I can see my future, I can view it. It's right there for the taking. Everything I've ever wanted, dreams are just waiting. I just gotta fight for it, willing to die for it, willing to like sort of.
Hey, greetings from the year 3000. It still sucks. This is Philip J. Price, and you're listening to the Drunken Turkey Show. Your one stop for this sort of thing. Hit that button, like and subscribe. You know what to do, just like every other podcast.
Just like every other podcast. Welcome back to the Drunk Turkey Show. I'm Daniel. Alongside with me is Hyman. Big Blue had a weird waxing accident earlier, so he's not going to be joining us today. Hyman, how you doing today, man?
Honestly, not that great, man. I have a horrible headache, and today was pretty crappy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And now I find out that Blue's not here. Take me out, bro. Take me out.
Yeah. Now, well, Blue's actually, he's out at a festival right now. It's called what? Worst Fest? It's out there in New Braunfels, Texas.
Yeah. I think so.
So if any of y'all are heading out that direction, you'll see the one and only Big Blue out there representing shotgunning and eating sausage. I believe that's what they do there, right?
Well,
I've never
sure
been.
Sounds like it. That's what
sounds
Blue
like a
said.
good time.
Yeah.
It sounds like a good time. I actually wanted to go, man. But I forgot that it was this week. I didn't know until Blue told us earlier. I was like, oh, yeah.
Well, and you know Blue's not going to forget, especially with the word sausage in it. You know what I mean?
Good old Blue, man. He's a good guy. So today what we're going to do is we're going to send out the link here in a little bit and have you guys, if you guys want to come up, if you guys want to just ask questions in the comment section or in the live chat, we'll answer those as well. I do want to bring up a couple of things up in the Richard Allen case with you real quick before we do that, though. Apparently, so Richard Allen, just, for those that are just tuning in and aren't aware of his case, he's the Richard Allen was the guy that was arrested in the double homicide of Libby and Abby, Libby Williams and Abigail, Libby German and Abigail Williams. And this happened back in 2017 in Indiana. It was made famous when they released or went viral when the Snapchat video, I assume it's a Snapchat video, was released and of a guy walking on a bridge, and the term, guys down the hill from the suspected killer in this case, broke out, and everything went viral. It was unsolved for 5 years, and then there was a guy named Keegan Klein, and he was basically catfishing one of the girls. He became a prime suspect because he was into the child stuff that you don't want to be into, and he got arrested and charged, but come to find out he had nothing to do with the actual homicides. And an arrest is made of Richard Allen. Now, there's not very much evidence against Richard Allen, in my opinion. From what we know, right? There could be more. All we know is what's in the probable cause affidavit, which is only enough to arrest him. Mm-hmm. But what we know is that they found an unspent round in between where the bodies were, and he put himself there. Right. And I think that's pretty much the only evidence they have against him up to, to our knowledge, at least. Now, his lawyers go and basically start an investigation and looking into this. And before prosecution told them or gave them the discovery that this was possibly a Odinism ritualistic sacrifice, they basically they hid that from them. They went out there and found it, and come to find out, some people that were the corrections officers that were around Richard Allen had these Odinism patches. And once it came to light that the lawyers were looking at the Odinism angle, those Odinism patches disappeared. Right. So apparently here recently, there was a leak of evidence. All right. That leak was a couple of crime scene photos. Apparently, they're very disturbing. We ourselves have not seen them. We ourselves have not received them. I know there's a lot of questions as far as who has and who hasn't. We haven't. We've talked to someone who has, and they've described them to us very vividly, and so we've had that access.
Yeah.
Now
we haven't seen it, and we're not. We don't want to see
that. Yeah, I don't want to see that. No. I saw a drawing, like a much more detailed drawing than what we put on, and just that is disturbing.
Yeah, I don't want to go, and see the actual photos. It's bad enough as it is with just the drawings.
Yeah. And so what ends up happening is there's this, court hearing, right? And in this court hearing, all of a sudden, Richard Allen's attorneys, they decide that they're going to withdraw, right? They're going to withdraw. They're no longer going to be his attorney. And Judge Gohl, presiding over this case, she accepts the withdrawal, right? Now, from the outside, that looks a little bit sus because Richard Allen was due in court for his trial to start in 2 months. It was supposed to start in January. And, given so close to the time frame of which when, court was going to start, it was a big surprise that she ended up, agreeing with this. One of the attorneys signed, some paperwork, and the other one just verbally said that he would, but didn't actually do it. So I want to say about 4 or 5 days go by, and then the attorneys decide that they want to continue to represent Richard Allen, and they stated that there was a meeting behind chambers with Judge Gohl, and during that proceeding, or in that meeting in closed chambers, that they were coerced and forced to come off the case. One of the attorneys has hired an attorney, and they have submitted this entire thing. Oh, wait, I missed one part. So after they get kicked off, right? They want to come back. Gohl says no. Gohl ends up selecting 2 other attorneys to represent Richard Allen. During that process, the initial attorneys, Rozzi and Baldwin, they decide that they're going to they file a court document to remove the judge based on the fact that she coerced them into, not being Richard Allen's attorneys. And what they ended up doing, so she doesn't want to put him back on. So what they end up doing is they decide that they're going to go and be Richard Allen's attorneys pro bono, right? Free of charge. So that way it's not a court appointed thing. Richard Allen submitted a letter to the judge stating that he wanted to keep his initial lawyers. They had trial. Judge heard it. In fact, those 2 initial attorneys joined. Kind of, I don't know if it was like, they were, that was something they planned, but I think that the 2 initial attorneys just showed up, sat in the defense, table, and
like nothing happened.
Yeah, the judge came out and said, "Hey, and I would have thought that the bailiff would have like, hey man, you're not on this case."
So yeah, it's like, hey, dude,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like have you ever like in school you ever showed up to the wrong class and sat down and just like realized that everybody was different there? That's how they were sitting down a bit.
Dude, one time I went to class and I put my head on my because I was tired. It was like the first class, so I put my head on my desk. The bell rang. I looked up. I was like, I'm not in the right place.
Yeah, that's crazy. Hey, you said that the Richard Allen's lawyers were coerced into withdrawing. Is that what it?
Yeah,
that's what you said. You would think that as lawyers they would know better, right?
Well, yes, but I think that the way it was done, so you have to, and it's probably not right? It's a small area, it's a small location, everybody knows everybody type of thing. What I think had occurred, and this is just my assumption, and I don't know, but what I think occurred was that the judge felt that the release of these images could tamper a jury, right? And if Richard Allen ends up being found guilty, then he could, these attorneys are kept, and then he could file some sort of appeal based on attorneys that aren't good. They screwed up his case. And so she basically said, due to gross negligence, which is having the files or the pictures sent out everywhere, which I get it, it's not their, they didn't actually do it. According to them, it was somebody they trusted or whatever, but they're responsible for that stuff, right? Now they wanted to do it pro bono, and the judge is saying no still. It's kind of tricky. Now, I heard earlier today, I've been flying all day, but I heard earlier today that Supreme Court, I think, is now taking it up. They're looking into it, and Judge Gold has hired an attorney as well.
This is like a soap opera, man.
Dude, it is, man. It is so confusing. Like, and I don't think it's nefarious. I think it's more like, the judge said, brought the two attorneys into their chambers and said, hey, you guys screwed up. You guys screwed up royally, to the point where if I report this, there could be problems with your license or things of that nature. If you guys just step down, we won't have to report it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Do you think maybe the lawyers withdrew and then decided to come back just to give themselves a little bit more time? To postpone the original trial?
I think that they withdrew, but they were still probably doing like some investigating on and trying to find a loophole on how to stay on the case. And the only way to do that was by, doing it by going pro bono. Now, what does that mean? What do you think about that? That these guys, well, first and foremost, they accuse law enforcement of lying and tampering with, or not. What's the word I'm looking for? They accused them of lying. They made up statements for witnesses, according to the defense. They accused them of almost fabricating evidence, stating that there's no pictures of the bullet coming out of the ground and things of that nature. All these things that on one end would make you think that or that could actually hurt their career, right? Then this happens with the photos leaked. That definitely can hurt their career.
Yeah.
Don't you think that if they didn't, if Richard Allen was a guilty man and they knew this, that they would fight this hard and risk their career for him like this?
Yeah, it makes you think, right? They put their whole reputation, their whole, like you said, career on this Odinism angle, and then of the accusing some of the police officers for tampering with stuff. So like it makes you think like, maybe they have a lot more that we obviously they have a lot more that we know.
Yeah.
So make them think that Richard Allen could get away or not get away with it, but be found not guilty.
Yeah. It's weird, man, because like I just feel that if this was a somebody that they felt did this crime, that they wouldn't go to this extent. And it makes you wonder, because apparently, according to the defense, that statement where Richard Allen puts himself there, there's nothing recorded about it. There's no written statement. There's no recording of this statement. So it's just the word of the conservation officer.
Yeah.
And everything that he said in that statement is also the word of the conservation officer, which doesn't necessarily mean it's bad. I mean, these police officers, they go through thorough background checks. They go through, lie detector tests in most cases. And I'm not sure about it in this place because it's kind of small. So I don't know. But, there's a lot that goes into so that they don't get, bad cops. Now, do some, officers or whatnot fall through the cracks? Yeah. But when you look at it, like how many of these cases that have those situations versus the cases that are pretty clean, it's like maybe less than 1% that something crazy happens. You know what I mean?
No,
So,
yeah.
but yeah, I don't know, man. I'm starting to think, based on that, and then, it all boils down to the bullet. If they can't use his statement, because he's saying that he was there earlier and left earlier, and that's why nobody saw him. Right. The only thing that kind of ties him there is the fact that he stated, supposedly, now I don't know if he's still saying that he said that he saw 3 juveniles coming out while he was walking in, to the trail. And those 3 juveniles said that they were leaving at about 1:30. And prior to them leaving, they took a photo of themselves on a bench. And that photo was timestamped at 1:26. All right. So is it possible Richard Allen, he said he went there at 12:30, saw 3 girls coming out as he was walking in, and he left before 1:30? Yeah, he would have left before 1 or 1:30 because those girls didn't see him while they were out there. And somebody else walked in? I mean, maybe.
That's too small of a window.
It is a small window. It is. And, the only thing that I'm asking is it possible that those juveniles saw a different guy? And earlier in the day, Richard Allen went and saw 3 separate juveniles that described the same incident. How likely would that have been?
Highly unlikely.
That's what I'm thinking.
But then again, I mean, I believe that day there was no school, right?
No.
So it's possible, but highly unlikely.
Right. Yeah. No, I'm on the same boat with you on that one. So I think that there's a good possibility that this guy was involved, but it does sound like there's a lot more, that comes with this. You can't look past the fact that he put himself there, and the fact that there is a round that was unspent that matches his gun. He said he was looking at a stock tracker on his phone. I wonder if they can get that information now, so many years later. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's 5+ years.
Yeah.
That's I mean, let alone witnesses. They're not as not trustworthy, but it's not, you can't put all your money on them because sometimes witnesses forget or kind of like remember differently. Color of clothes, facial features, height, especially in that 5-year time span.
Yeah. That's what's going on, Steve. Welcome back to the show. Appreciate you being here.
I see you.
Yeah, man, that's the thing that concerns me when it comes to this case. And then you have the Elvis Fields comments, where he told his sister that he was there. He told his sister about the horns over one of the girls' heads. He told the sister he was going away for a long time, that he joined a brotherhood, and all these things. And she went and passed a polygraph test. So he says he did it with 2 other people. Could Richard Allen be one of those other persons? The witnesses. So the defense is claiming that law enforcement was lying on a couple of things. That the person that was muddy and bloody wasn't bloody. That they added that description in there. And he wasn't wearing a blue coat. He was wearing a tan coat. And the other female, the one that sees somebody on the bridge and then turns around, and as she's walking out, she thinks she sees Libby and Abby walking towards the bridge.
Yeah, that was like a jogger, right?
Yeah. That person, or a walker. That person says that the person she saw on the bridge was in his early 20s. Clearly, Richard Allen, I think he was late 30s, 40s at that time. And so those descriptions, I guess, were left out. And Elvis Field said there was 2 other people. I don't know. It's confusing.
Yeah, those comments that he made are pretty damning. You know what I mean? Especially in a case like this, that's so much that it's under a gag order.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Not knowing the facts or the evidence, and then someone coming out and saying that certain things about the crime scene, and then it comes out to be somewhat true.
Yeah.
It's let's see how that works out.
Yeah, I'm not sure, man. I really am not. Let's see. I'm gonna look through some of these comments, see if anybody got any comments or questions.
I believe someone commented that the time is wrong on StreamYard or something like that.
That our time is wrong?
Oh no, that it's showing that it was like 2 hours ago, the live.
Oh snap! That's weird. Well, shit, spread the word, y'all. Tell everybody we're on.
Unless you like programmed it in Pittsburgh.
I didn't. I came back and I did it here.
Okay, so that can't be it.
That can't be it. That can't be it. Tim Collins, he says, haven't been following the Delphi case closely. Lots of drama, evidently. Yeah, it definitely is. It's and the drama goes before Richard Allen's arrest. I mean, there was, some folks that were blaming the families. Does that sound familiar? Yeah, blaming the families, blaming people that were closely related to them, things like that. So, yeah, there was a lot going on, and then there was a lot of fake stuff that went along.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like what we see in the Idaho case. Somebody made up some fake audio. In the Idaho case. In this case, somebody made a lot of fake pictures, and there was text messages that were screenshots. I know that some of them were real, and then there was other ones that weren't.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's I've looked into it a bit. I wouldn't say that I know this like somebody that's covering it, that has been covering it since day one.
But Steve?
Yeah, like Steve. But I've looked into the majority of it. I think I got a pretty good grasp of it.
Yeah, no, you hear a lot of these things coming out, especially through Reddit.
This is the one you were talking about. I scrolled all the way to the top.
What was that?
Something happened?
Yeah, there was a loud, I think it was a message or something.
I didn't hear it on my end.
Oh, that's weird. Anyways, I was saying, like you said, with Kohberger, there was a lot of things coming out on Reddit that was a lot fake, and then and some of it was true. It came out true. So, like in this case, it's the same thing. There's a lot of people on Reddit that also posted up things that are true, but with some misinformation.
Yeah, I mean, the problem is that you have so much misinformation, and when you have a forum like Reddit or 4chan, anybody can create a profile. Anybody can say they are a certain person. There's no blue check mark there. So, I could create a profile and put my name as freaking Jacob Kohberger and say that I'm Bryan Kohberger's long lost twin brother and the real person that committed that crime. Right? I mean, does it make it real? No. And, then there's some stuff that ends up coming out to be true. Like the fact that Dylan Mortenson saw somebody in the house, and didn't call 911. I couldn't fathom that, before that came out on the probable cause affidavit, but that was information that was given to us before that happened.
Yeah, that was,
believe it.
Yeah, me neither. I was like, that's, it's like, I don't think that's true, but then lo and behold.
Yeah.
Check.
Yeah, it's, let me see. Are both innocent? Okay. Ray believes that both BK and RA are both innocent. I don't think BK is. RA, if I had to say if one of them is innocent, one of them is guilty, I would probably favor Richard Allen as being the guy that was going to be innocent in this. What do you think?
Yeah, I would go with Richard Allen as well for a little asterisk on it,
Mm-hmm.
But I was thinking about it. You know how, in the past couple of weeks we had, pictures of Richard Allen, how he looks so fragile, right?
Yeah.
Because compared to the when he first got arrested, like he was kind of a hefty dude,
Yeah.
Do you think that might be somewhat of a like to distract, like from the picture or the video of Bridge Guy, compare him now how he is? Kind of.
I don't think so.
You know what I mean?
I think
It'll be harder for a jury to kind of like picture him at that weight. You know what I mean?
Right. For me,
Mm-hmm.
if I was the prosecutor, and I've never been an attorney, I've not taken the law degree, but I stayed at a Holiday Inn once. I would have brought up pictures of what Richard Allen looked like in 2017. I'm sure that they went through his Facebook and everything personal before they, hooked him up. And they probably found a bunch of pictures, photos, things of that nature from that time frame. And I would utilize those images as a representation of what he looked like then at that time.
Yeah. No. Yeah. What about the lawyers itself? Like when it comes down for the them withdrawing from being Richard Allen's lawyers. Damn, I'm losing my voice.
Stop screaming at Blue.
Right. Do you think that right? Do you think that the lawyers, how they came out with the Odinism angle,
mm-hmm.
and they put all their effort in that, right? Do you think they found out, or they realized that maybe the new appointed lawyers were not going to go with that angle, and now they wanted to come back?
I don't know, because the new appointed attorneys are saying that the judge is keeping things classified that they shouldn't, but I think it could be a tactic. All right, because who cares? You unclassify them, it's not a big deal, right? But it shows that these attorneys are just as gun-ho as the ones before, right? Like, hey, they're gun-ho, they're coming after the judge too. They said, hey, these items that are classified shouldn't be classified. They're limiting information to the public. And like, how in the Kohberger case, we can just go to the Idaho court.com or org or whatever it is, and it shows us all the cases or all the motions, anything filed in the Bryan Kohberger case. There's not something like that for Richard Allen, and those attorneys are wanting something like that, and they're saying that the judge is withholding that or whatever. But I think that could be a tactic to say, oh yeah, look, these guys they went after the judge too, so they're not going to just play favorites, because I think one of them is on the judge's Facebook as a friend. So it is what it is. But I don't think that's something nefarious if you have a judge and an attorney, friends on Facebook. What do you think?
What's that? I can't remember that saying. But I think that's raise some eyebrows at least. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But when it comes down to the lawyer, oh man, I drew a blank. I was gonna ask you before you asked me, and you beat me to it. But like, I know they filed like a motion, right? Kind of like to get rid of the judge itself, right?
Yeah.
Okay. What would happen if they end up requesting like a change of venue? Would that help to bring back the lawyers now that there's a change of venue? They can probably get a new judge as well. Or once they're off of the case, that's it.
I really don't know, but I do think that the next presiding judge could have a say in it. That would make sense. I think I had heard some attorneys on a different podcast mention something like that, doing a change of venue.
Yeah.
And that way, you get another, not just another area, but because of the leaks and stuff, but you also get the fact that maybe perhaps you don't have this judge that's been kind of, suspect. All right, so Ronnie for Missing Persons PNW says, I have a question. If this was a ritualistic sacrifice, wouldn't people get the runes and sticks perfect instead of them being questionable by literally everyone? You know, that's a good point. That's a good question. My thought is the bodies weren't found until the next day, so I'm not entirely sure if the sticks were where they were supposed to be at or where they were placed initially. You know what I mean? They could have been moved a little bit.
Yeah,
What do you think?
There's a lot of animal traffic that
True story.
goes through there. I mean, especially like I don't know if they have hogs up there. I'm pretty sure they do, right?
Yeah,
they can get everywhere, man. They don't care what they're doing. They just and then there's like a bunch of them. Like there's not just one or two. They travel in packs, man. In herds. Yeah. So it could be that too. But like at the same time, like the question itself, like, yeah, you would have. I don't know if you would. I wouldn't say I would, right? But like I'm saying, like a better calling card, I guess you can say. A lot more precise with the sticks. It's kind of hard to think that it was, for me at least, it looks like they were trying to make it seem like it was a ritualistic sacrifice kind of thing.
Well, law enforcement described it as staged. So, yeah. And it was apparent to at least 3 officers that were investigating it that went to the attorneys of Richard Allen and told them about the Odinist angle. And so, yeah, maybe. I'm going to go ahead and put the StreamYard in the chat.
Yeah.
It should go on here pretty soon. I don't know why this is taking a little bit of time.
Yeah, I'm still having trouble with the mute button, man.
I think that's on...
that's StreamYard, though.
Yeah, StreamYard's weird. Let's see. I mean, content real quick so I can pin the comment. Give me a second, guys. Hey, so what do y'all think about the newest video that we put out there, referencing the all the IgG stuff? What did you think about it, Jaime?
There we go. Sorry, I wasn't there. I was there, but I wasn't there. I guess you can say. Yeah. I was in the backstage. What's it called? Nah, man. Yeah, the way you explained everything made a lot more sense than the way it's actually in the documents, you know.
Yeah.
Like you give examples and all that stuff. I'm trying my best not to say what not. So if I say it after this one, let me know.
There it goes. I can finally pin it. All right, I put it in the message. It's pinned at the top. If anybody wants to join the stream, you can. You don't have to use a camera if you don't want to. We're going to do about, I'll give you guys about 3 minutes. If you have questions, comments, concerns, thoughts, let us know. But yeah, you know, when it came to the IgG stuff, I've been saying it since day one. I don't see the problem with Kohberger's defense team getting it, honestly. I just don't see the point. Like, it's not going to make a difference. You know, it's not something that's going to be able to, I don't see where, you know, the fruit of the poisonous tree gets applied here, you know, because the SNP profile is completely separate from the STR profile and the familial or the father's DNA sample that they got. All right. So all those, it's completely different. And if you just kind of take that out of the picture, which they're not using anyways, it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make sense to me. It's like somebody trying, you know, if somebody took a lie detector test and they failed it, and then it's not used against them in court, but for some reason they want to bring it back in court so that they can say that it's not reliable and have it thrown out in court, even though it's not being used against them. You know what I mean? It just kind of points you in a direction.
Yeah. So, and what's it called? Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I don't know anything about over there, but I'm sure there's hogs out there. But like I know the deer they're everywhere, and I'm sure they would have probably moved a couple of sticks here and there, especially with that in that crime scene photo. Not the photo itself, but like after they took the bodies, and we could see the trails and everything. Especially we even saw a house cat down there. So
yes. All right, so I see somebody down there. If you don't mind, just I gotta see, if you could take that off, and I gotta see who you are in the camera. Make sure you're not somebody willing to do something weird. You don't have to have your camera on in the stream, but if you take your camera out right now, put it on real quick. Mac.
give us a thumbs up.
Yeah, give us a thumbs up that you're ready, and then you can turn your screen off, and then we'll bring you on. We just don't want anybody pulling a fast one on us and getting us demonetized for inappropriate images or something.
No, we have enough to worry with Blue.
They bounced out. They bounced out. So it may have been one of those situations. I was onto it.
Yeah, for sure, man. I don't want to be bamboozled.
100%. Let's see. Well, it does not make sense. It caused the leading tip.
Oh, we got
but that doesn't make it. That doesn't matter. I can have a clairvoyant person come into my office and tell me, "Boo! This person over here is a drug dealer." Right? I can't use that. I can't use that information. But does that mean that I can't go and look over there and see if this person is a freaking drug dealer? And if I do, I go out there and I see that there's evidence that this person is a drug dealer. Like there's people coming in and out all hours of the night. I actually pull over somebody. They got drugs in the car and they say they bought it from that person. I pull over 3 people and the same thing happens. So now I can go get a warrant for that person's house to go check if there's anything in there. You go do, and then you get a warrant for his arrest. Now you don't have just, possession. You don't just have, intent to distribute. You'd have a bigger case. You want to build the case up. In that situation, in a murder situation, you want to get the guy off the streets as fast as possible, especially if they committed 4 homicides and it's possible they can kill someone else. Makes sense. All right, I'm gonna bring up Miss Dog Lover up first.
What's it called? I was gonna ask you, what if a psychic told you right now that Blue is deep throating some of those bratwurst?
I believe it. I believe it.
I would too.
All right, welcome to the show, Miss Dog Lover. How are you doing?
Hi guys, I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Doing well. So I think I had seen you in the live chat earlier say that you wanted to hop on up. What are your thoughts, comments, and the whole 9 yards?
Yeah, so obviously just really quite upset about what's been happening with Delphi. Just feel really bad for the families that there's a further delay. What the attorneys have been doing, I think it's quite unethical. And I just think, what are they trying to achieve? Like, are they trying to go for a mistrial? I just don't understand it.
Yeah, it's confusing. I don't think anything was done purposefully. I think that there was, an incident that occurred where images were released, and I don't think the defense meant to release those images. And so when something unexpected happens like that, and you're looking at probably some inexperience here, I don't know of another case where the defense leaked pictures out. What about you, Jaime? Do you know any other case that was like that?
Sorry, my mute button takes forever. I mean, I'm sure there has been, but the only thing I don't get is the fact that within the 5 years, these pictures never were leaked until close to the starting of a trial. That's the weird part about it.
Well, it's because there wasn't anybody under investigation. It was leaked by the defense. So the only way the defense team could leak it is if somebody was under arrest. Now,
well,
yeah. Because
not necessarily. They didn't have to have someone, arrested. It could have been leaked a long time ago. just for it, but it's just the timing is just it's kind of sus, you know.
Right. Well, what I'm saying is that the leak came from the defense team. The defense wasn't a part of this case or didn't have those pictures until Richard Allen was arrested and they were appointed his lawyers. And so if there was a leak earlier, it would have been from the police department. So,
well, how long has Richard Allen been arrested, been in jail or in custody?
About a year. I think a little bit over a year now.
So in other words, pretty much saying that the defense team or staff, the one they picked out, are pretty much incompetent. You can't keep everything in, you know, under the gag order, pretty much.
Yeah, that's pretty much what the judge is saying.
That's why I think that's what they withdrew or pressured, right?
Well, you know, we had our lawyer friend Zach on the show, and when we talked about, you know, certain situations like that where you have somebody leak something, he made it clear. He's like, I don't hire people like that. I do everything myself because I'm terrified of that happening, because in the eyes of the court or in, you know, for lawyers, there is no, my paralegal did it. My buddy down the street broke into my or some fiend broke into my office and stole everything and somehow got it. Well, you should have had it locked in a safe or something. It's not their problem. You know, at the end of the day, it's not their problem. And that's what they're going to say. It's not our problem. It's your problem that you got it lost and it got out and you're responsible for it.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't matter what excuse you have.
Mm-hmm.
You know, what else you got, Ms. Dogliver? I'm sorry, we're talking over your time.
No, that's fine. So the other thing that I noted was that the witnesses said that Richard Allen was, or the person they saw, was walking with purpose.
Yes.
So I wonder, you know, was it all planned? I don't know. Was he trying to I don't know.
So the one thing that bothered me about this entire thing is the fact of the direction of travel that they suspect Richard Allen to be traveling in. And that is coming from the east side of Delphi towards west, coming in towards Delphi on 300 North, and then parking at the old CPS or building. The problem with that is Richard Allen lived, you know, west of this area, and his work was west of this area. I don't understand where he was coming from. Now, he could have been coming from anywhere. He could have gone to a friend's house down the street or whatever, right? But I found that odd that he was traveling in a weird direction. Well, if he's walking with a purpose, if this was some sort of like planned event, and, you know, if there was some sort of tools or whatever left at the scene where they planned or intended on committing the crime, I can see where somebody would go, they would park at the cemetery, go down there, put their, you know, tools or tools of the crime, whatever they're going to use, and get word somehow that the girls are on their way and have to go up there. And that would explain, you know, why he was coming in the direction that he was coming. And if he was aware that they were on their way, why he was traveling, you know, with a purpose like he was. Does that make sense? And so, but you have anything else, Miss Dogliver?
Yeah, the only other thing was the way he's looking fragile. Mm-hmm. I wonder if, like, is he on hunger strike? Like, you know, he's trying to purposefully look vulnerable.
It could be. From what I understood, he looked a lot healthier this time around. What do you think, Hyman? Do you think that his appearance is has something to do with, you know, whether he's innocent or guilty? Some folks have been saying that, you know, you look at Bryan Kohberger, he looks like he's gotten healthier in prison. You look at Richard Allen, he's deteriorated. Is there a reason behind it? Is one innocent, one guilty? Things like that. What are your thoughts on the subject?
Well, I think it comes down to his mentality, his mental state.
Mm-hmm.
Because at one point we heard that he was he eating paper or something like that, or some of the paper. And I mean, it could also go. It's the same thing as making your client wear a suit instead of walking in there with a jumpsuit, right?
Mm-hmm.
It gives him an impression that he might be more, innocent, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
Than guilty, given that field of it. And it could be the same thing with this. I mean, he could be looking the way he is right now to like I said, just to make sure that give that appearance of that couldn't have been me, because look at me now. And it's hard for a juror to, well, it's hard. I mean, at least for me, it's hard for me to like picture someone that was bigger than, and you see him skinny. It's like, oh, I remember you were bigger, but I'm like, it's kind of hard to remember exactly how he looked,
Yeah, no, I agree. Well, I want to thank you, Miss Dog Lover, for joining us.
Yeah,
have
I
a good
really
time.
appreciate having me on. So yeah, it was good to speak to you, and take care.
Thank you.
You too. You have a good one. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, it's opened up if anybody wants to come on in. Brittany Dunn says there are two different SNP profiles, which confuses the heck out of me. There's one SNP profile. It is the one that was created to locate Bryan Kohberger. There are two unidentified male DNAs that were somewhere in the area, is where it was described, where two of the bodies were discovered, which, like I said before, as descriptive as Ann Taylor has been, if those two DNAs were relatively close, I think she would have been singing that in those documents. They talk about certain things, about the other things, and they bring it up. People having cigarette buds secretly taken. I mean, a lot of stuff that they put in there. I would have assumed that it would have stated, because she also said where the third one was, right? She said it was in a glove outside, right? Glove outside. Why not say it was on the bed 2 feet from the bodies, or on the bodies, or on the doorknob, leaving the where the bodies were, covered in blood or whatever. The fact that it doesn't say that tells me it's probably a sample on the other side of the wall or something. What do you think?
Yeah, I think the reason that they went with that sample was because the fact that it was in the proximity of where the victims were. I don't think one across the room or in another room would be a lot more likely to be the killer's blood or DNA than the one right next to the bodies.
Yeah. I mean, if I was the defense team and there was something like that there, that would be the first thing I'd be saying. Look at what's happening in the Richard Allen case. They're throwing out everything about this Odinism stuff and the whole 9 yards. There's ways of getting information out through motions, and in both cases, the defense teams have been doing so. And so I would assume that if it was something that was relative to the case, it'd be in there. But it's not. It's just to cause a misdirection. Oh, there's two unknown DNA somewhere. Oh, wait a minute. Don't look at that. Don't look at the fact that Bryan Kohberger's swab from his cheek matched the DNA that was in the button of the sheath. Look at these two profiles on the wall way over here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it is what it is. Maybe Ari was speed walking to get his steps in. It could be. Bob might have made some lame argument that if the bank got robbed by armed robbers, is it the bank's fault? Sorry, the bank left money out on the counter for an unarmed banker to take. Shaking my head. Yeah, I mean, it is different. It's not the same. It's not the same because, an armed bank robber, if somebody came into your office armed with a weapon and said, "Give me your files," I don't think they're going to blame the lawyers for that.
Yeah. Definitely.
It's not the same thing. Now, if it was a situation where some some bank robbers, got in there at night and stole it, stole some stuff that was left on the counter. I get it. But I'm sure that there's some sort of policy internally in that bank that says you're not supposed to leave money in the counter or unattended or not locked up. So in a sense, the bank persons were still at fault to a certain degree, if that makes sense. Yeah. Love it. Whatnot. Let's see.
I'm gonna say it, guys. I'm pretty sure I already said that, and I didn't even notice.
All right. Glenna says Othram created the S&P, and then the FBI created S&P. No, the Othram created the S&P, and then FBI took over and took their work and continued their work with their resources, which is why they got him pretty quickly. So if you go and look at the documents, right, that I explained, so the FBI cannot get involved in doing one of these IGG tree things until there's no leads or no experts. Well, a private facility doesn't fall, or a private lab doesn't fall under the policy of the FBI, right? So they can look into it whenever they get paid. That's basically what it is, right? And what happened was they had a lot of technical, they had a lot of techniques yet that they have not exhausted. They had suspects and leads they had not exhausted yet. So they couldn't utilize the resources from the FBI. So they contacted this lab in Texas called Othram. Othram created the S&P, which, by the way, I was on Lena's channel, Truth and Transparency, almost a month ago now. And he brought up Ms. Vargas, the defense's genealogy witness that was there. It was pretty impressive that she was able to bring her up. And she told me that the DNA stuff to create the S&P profile for the that they're going and looking at isn't a physical piece of DNA. It's numbers and stuff on a paper, apparently, that they're looking at. It's not, they're not physically handed anything. So where's the chain of custody issue? But I did want to say that. So no, it wasn't two S&P profiles. There was just one S&P profile. Rick Allen was being tortured. Oh, what's up, Jaime? So Rick Allen was being tortured. Probably his food was being tampered with. Did you notice the big shoelaces that they are giving RA now? New tactic. So he ends himself. I didn't see that. I didn't see that. It would be kind of weird if he did have shoelaces. What do you think?
Yeah, don't they provide the like slides or like slip-ons?
Slip-ons? Yeah. Well, I mean,
in custody, right? I don't know.
I don't know. I've never been to prison, so and I never worked at a corrections officer.
Yeah,
corrections office. So.
But I don't know. For me, I thought you would think that shoelaces will be out of the question.
I would think so too, especially somebody who's possibly on suicide watch.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Is like this guy is supposedly eating paper, you know.
Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, if anybody wants to join, the StreamYard is pinned at the top. Just hit the link. We're gonna have to see your face before we bring you on. If you have comments, questions, concerns, even if you don't, if you think that what we're spewing or what we're saying is completely false, and you want to try to, say your side of things, I'm open to it. I'm open to anything. We'll listen to it. I'm not going to disrespect you or put you down or any of those things. We'll listen to what you have to say. And then if there's something that we can contribute to your comment or statement or question, well.
Yeah, we don't do that to ourselves. We do that to Blue, not to ourselves. Good old Blue. Mm-hmm. What's it called? When going to talking about the Delphi case, right? It just, it's so, I can't believe like how the parents of the victims will feel knowing that it took 5 years for an arrest to be made, right? And then still gonna have to wait until next year. Was it October?
Yeah, October
Right? Next year.
Yeah.
To start a trial. I mean, and in the way it's like they're looking for that closure, and they're not gonna get it until next year, possibly. Who knows? It might be postponed again. I don't know. I hope not.
The one question I have is, let's just say this goes to the Indiana Supreme Court, and the judge there says, all right, we're gonna give you your attorneys back. Can they then speed up the process? Because it was gonna happen here relatively soon.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So is it possible that they speed up the process and have another trial here relatively soon? It's quite possible.
It is, yeah.
You know what I mean? Know what I mean?
What not? Listen. I think I'm losing my voice, man. Does this sound weird?
Nah, you sound good, dude. You sound good. You sound like Johnny Cash. I don't know what you're talking about.
Hello. I'm Jaime Cash.
There you go. Right. The judge said he didn't know when the IgG was performed. We don't know. Well, there's some clues there, right? The clue was that the IgG had started while the video canvases were going on. Because that's what it said. It said, meanwhile, video canvases had begun. So when did they start doing the video canvassing? Probably the very next day. I think there were some pictures of an officer at the 1112 King Road residence taking the Ring camera that was on their home. All right, so that's part of the video surveillance. Now, they probably did video surveillance for quite a few weeks, probably months, and they probably did more after they knew who Bryan Kohberger was. In fact, I suspect that they didn't know about any of the 530, 5 whatever, when that white Elantra comes back into Pullman, from that long ass drive he did after, he claims he was just driving by himself, but they didn't see that. They probably didn't even see the ones at 240 because murders didn't happen to 4. Why would they be looking in Pullman at 240? You know what I'm saying? So I suspect that once they got Bryan Kohberger's name, they went, all right, let's backtrack. Let's go back. He had to have left Pullman at some time. So they go back probably around midnight and watch these tapes, and then boom, there it is. He had to have gotten back some other time. So now instead of watching it for just, up until like maybe, I don't know, 5 o'clock, now they're watching it until 5:40. And when they see him pulling in, he pulled in there. So that's my thoughts. But I think the IgG started off pretty soon. But like I said earlier, it's not 2 different SNP profiles. It's not, they're grabbing the same DNA or a piece or a sliver of DNA and then testing it and creating their own thing. It's nothing like that. It's apparently like papers and algorithms on a computer. I don't know anything about it, but yeah. And what the FBI did was they took over. They didn't start their own tree. They took over for Othram. So all the work they had done, they had utilized it. So if Othram had, let's just say, entered the DNA into one of these databases, and they got a hit on a distant relative, and they find out that this is a 5th cousin, so that's what, great grandparents, and so then you got to build a tree from that person. So by the time the FBI got it, there's a good possibility a majority of the work could have been done. And with their resources and the amount of people that they have, boom. You know what I mean? What do you think, Jaime?
Yeah, no, what? I'm just having a hard time understanding, some cases that the murder hasn't been solved and it goes cold, and then they finally use, the DNA to find the family members and stuff like that. How come in this case it was so fast to use that? Like, what I mean? Like, it really didn't go cold.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, between when the incident happened and when they started doing the DNA to find the family member, right?
Right.
How come it was so fast in this case? In other cases, you have people who have DNA on the body, and takes years for them to find.
Well, the reason I think this is relatively new, to be honest with you. I mean, they caught Bryan Kohberger immediately after. They used probably the same. They're not putting it out there, but I'm fairly positive they used the same technique to catch Rex Humerman. You know, they even said they even used the same BS. Oh, we saw a video of him driving a green avalanche. You know how many green freaking avalanches there are that year? That's not enough. That's nothing to go investigate them or look into them. Like, oh, there's a green avalanche. Let's go look at it. This is a green avalanche. This guy owned this green avalanche, 10, 20 years ago. Let's go look at this guy. I don't think so. I think there was something else. And they're like, how do we come up with a scenario where we're like, all right, we came here, and they used the green car. This Cold and Covered says Jules showed a video of Thompson talking about the 2 SMPs. There's a lot of videos out there about a lot of things that aren't accurate. The thing is, when a person is talking, it's not scripted. It's not a movie. It's not any of those things. So when someone is saying certain things like this, I think that there is a possibility for miswords to happen. So I prefer to look at the documents that were written, prepared, and well thought out. And you clearly have those documents saying that the FBI took over for Othram and finished the job. Know what I mean?
Yeah. What's it called? Oh man, it moved. I was gonna put up a question, but I think it moved on. It moved on. So.
Oh, my bad, man. Well, I'm probably way behind you. I'll probably find it.
Okay.
Supreme Court will likely say there needs to be a complete reset in the case. New attorneys, new judge, special prosecutor. It's possible. I mean, I honestly don't know, but I wouldn't put it past them. What do you think? Do you think that what is more likely for you to think that the Supreme Court will do? Do you think they will say, all right, you know what? Let's start over, fresh, clean, new attorneys, new prosecutor, new judge? Mm-hmm. Or do you think that they would rather say, hey, this guy's already been in jail long enough, doing something like that's going to cause him to be in jail even longer. Let's give him the attorneys that he wants who are willing to work pro bono, and have him sign something that says that if he loses his case, that he cannot appeal based on these attorneys being his attorneys.
Oh man,
it's tough one, man.
It's real tough, man, because you got to look at it also, like you said, how long he's been in the system and how long this case has been. You want closure for the families as soon as possible, but you also want to have a legit, trustworthy trial. You know what I mean? A fair trial.
Mm-hmm.
And if you appoint everybody brand new, it's gonna just delay that thing a couple of years, and that's gonna. I would say, if they do, I think the best deal would just be giving Rich Allen the attorney he wants.
Yeah.
And moving on.
Yeah, and I don't mean this disrespectful at all, but Jules was also reporting that the S&P profile was utilized to get the arrest warrants for Bryan Kohberger, to get the warrants for the search, and a lot of other stuff that just wasn't accurate. So I get it. I understand that there's been some things, maybe I haven't heard it, but maybe somebody did say some things like that. But like I said before, when you're in the moment, you're talking to people, you're talking about something, sometimes things come out differently, or words aren't said as they're meant to have been said. Now, if it's in some sort of court document, email it to me. I'll look at it, and if it says that there's 2 S&P profiles, I'll bring it up and we'll talk about it. The only thing I can find is just one in all the court documents.
Yeah. You were saying that, this real life stuff is not like a movie, And the first time, like one of the times that I was like, that's kind of like, you see all these movies and you see how they write down everything. It's all plain and everything. It's like really, it looks really good right on the movie. But like, remember when they showed us the inventory, I guess you can say, on what Kohberger had in his house, his home, and like that thing was all over the place, man. It had so much errors and stuff. Remember? Yeah. Like, to the point they were write down the exact change, but not how many shovels there were. Like, they just put shovels. It's like, what does that mean? Yeah, it could be like 50 of them.
No, I know. I think they were purposely being vague. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's like you see that compared to like movie, like stuff in the movies, and it's like it's night and day.
Yeah, 100%. K-Dubs G says GSK was local and they used the same process. They used the genetic tree right to find him. When was that done? When was he arrested?
You know, I haven't looked into Golden State Killer, and I just remember I know some of the details. I don't know a lot about it. I haven't been on my serial killer, what's it called, binge watching lately. I've been busy with work.
Yeah,
but it wasn't that long ago. I'll tell you that.
Yeah. 2018.
Yeah,
2018. And so, yeah, it may have, it may have been available in 2018, but just like, you had to, you look at anything else from how long ago was 2018? Like 5-6 years ago. Technology adapts and things get faster. And so even though it may have taken some time or they use this somewhere else, it's possible that now they have some new techniques or something new and it's working hella quick. You know what I mean? And accurate, because the reason it's accurate is it's saying, hey, you should investigate this guy. You go investigate him and then you match the DNA and it shows it's accurate.
Yeah. No, for sure. I believe they did the same with Dennis Rader.
Maybe. And I also want to add, if it's the FBI that's doing it, there can't be a suspect or a lead. So if they thought somebody was possibly the guy or they had leads or suspect and, in a case, the FBI can't get involved until that's over. So that also could hinder something. Like, for instance, if you go and look at, I don't know, John Bonet case, they have DNA that they don't know where it's at and they're fighting to get that tested, right? Now, in my opinion, I think that I think it was Boulder, Colorado is where it happened. Is that right? Yeah, so I think the Boulder Police Department has the ability to take that profile if they have a suspect. Let's just say that they believe that somebody in the house had did it. Well, FBI can't get involved because they have a suspect. Now, that doesn't stop them from sending it off to like a place like Othram and having them do it. Let's see. Yeah, let's get on panel. We're going to do this probably for about maybe another 10 minutes if nobody jumps on.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, I think BTK he was caught by sending a floppy disk, but I believe they used his daughter's DNA from like a pap smear or something like that. Like to make sure that was him. Because they had found DNA on the victims' bodies.
Yeah. And here's the thing. Even if there's one altered SNP profile or anything, the SNP profiles are not used against Kohberger. There can be a SMW profile out there saying Kohberger is the guy. They're not using it. Doesn't matter. The one that counts is the STR profile and the buccal swab that they had. How they got to Bryan Kohberger or somebody give them Bryan Kohberger's name doesn't mean jack. It's not what you know, it's what you can prove. So even if the SNP profile pointed at Bryan Kohberger, if he didn't do it and he just merely just touched it one time, at a garage sale, it wouldn't be of the other circumstantial evidence around it that got him arrested. Right. And like I said, when it comes to that's the one that counts. The STR, the S&P profile. Think about it as a lie detector test. It is what it is. And even if they had it, even if they said, hey, one of these S&P profiles was jacked up. All right. Throw it out of court. Don't use it against him. That's what they do with that evidence. If there's like, for instance, if there's evidence that I don't want in a case, you suppress it. That means it doesn't come out in court. The prosecution don't want to use this against him. It's not the reason why they arrested him. They got his information or his name, but they still had to build a case. You can't just go knock on the guy's door and say, hey, you're related to X and X, X, XX over here, and so we're going to hook you up. Shit don't work that way. I need to have, probable cause based on information of the case that is solid and points directly toward him. Now, so just because I know somebody did something, you know how many times that an officer knows that somebody's doing something? Most of the time, people know when people are doing, somebody's selling dope or whatever, and they've been doing it a while. Just a matter of time. But I digress.
I was all agreeing with you on mute, just to let you know.
But yeah, even if there's there could be 7 S&P profiles. Who cares? It's his DNA on the damn sheet, and his defense team ain't arguing that. Think about that for a second. They're not arguing it, or they're not arguing that the DNA isn't valid. They're arguing that there could be another relative of Kohberger's out there that could have committed this crime. Think about that for a second. His freaking defense is that somebody else did this crime, possibly related to him, that also had to have been the son of his father.
Mm-hmm.
Because the trash pool pointed in that direction too, remember? So it had to have been the son of Michael Kohberger, and I don't know how many sons he has. Does he have another one? Maybe. Were they by the King Road residence? Yeah. So for everybody that is like backing this guy up, I mean, literally backing up a quadruple murder suspect. It's disturbing.
At this point, in both cases, it's not really what they're telling you. It's like what they're not telling you. It's kind of like reading between the lines, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't know. I find it almost frustrating sometimes, trying to explain these things.
Oh man,
like the fact that this doesn't make sense. The court already said, the judge already said your point is futile. Let me look up the definition of futile. I don't get it wrong. Incapable of producing any useful results, aka pointless. It's futile. That was word from word by the damn judge and that stuff in the court paperwork. He acknowledges he hasn't seen it all, so that's why he's gonna go look at it behind closed doors. But it's still, he's like, it's futile. I'm gonna go look at it to make sure, but it's futile. So if anybody really truly thinks that this DNA isn't going to make it to court, you're going to be very surprised. Tell you that. Let's see. Do you think that law enforcement always follows the genealogy sites rules? I've heard that they have ignored them at times. Just curiosity or question. I don't know. Is there evidence that they have done it outside of the word of somebody that's been paid to, or maybe not paid? Yeah, experts are paid to testify.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, show me where it's happened, and if there's a genealogist that has seen this happen, where's her report filing a complaint on the law enforcement officers that did this?
Yeah,
Show them. My email is drunkturkeyshow@gmail.com. Send them to me, please. I will. I am fair and honest. Like I am unbiased, 100%. Like I think there's some shadiness going on in Delphi. I think that this BK case is pretty clear. I keep it a buck. I keep it 100. I'm just gonna tell you how it is.
This, do you see Marcus on the chat? That makes two of us.
I see a few. I'm probably a little bit further up than you.
Trust me, when you see it, you'll know which I'm talking about.
The Cecil Hotel comes in with a $2 super chat or super sticker. Thank you, Cecil.
Thank you. There was a
interesting case there.
A super chat, I believe.
Oh, bring it up, man. Bring it up. I'm way back here.
Let me get it. Well, with my computer starts working like it's supposed to.
Glenna, hey, I did watch it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is it not coming up?
Not yet.
There you go.
There it is. Shazabanda, 5 euros, pounds. I'm not sure.
Pesos.
Hiya, Daniel and Jaime Mods chat. Hope you and your families are okay. Happy belated birthday to Jaime. He's playing the game right until the end. Could be.
It's the waiting game now.
Yeah. For sure.
There was this, I don't know if you heard this, but on TikTok, there's this guy claiming that he's Kaylee Anthony's real father. I don't know if you heard about this.
No, I haven't.
Well, he came out and he's been doing TikToks, and now he said in order for you to hear his story, you got to pay a certain amount and to go to his other channel and hear the story behind it and everything. And I'm like, damn, that's pretty jacked up, bro. Like,
you know, I mean, look at what fucking OJ did. He wrote a book, If I Did It, for money.
Yeah. So I wonder if people are actually paying this guy to hear what he has to say, you know?
Hell yeah, they are.
You think so?
Hell yeah. Yeah.
Oh.
Shit, I ain't gonna lie. I'd pay him to come on the channel just to see what he has to say. Give me his information. I don't care. Yeah. I don't care if I'm paying somebody or not. I'll tell you guys, the only person that we've ever paid to come on our channel was Danny De La Paz. He's an actor.
And it was more of a donation to his
yeah, it wasn't. Right? Yeah, he said that he'd come on if we donated to his foundation, which we did. And he showed up. Yeah, it was a good conversation. It
was like a 3-hour conversation. Not only that, but we became good friends of his.
Yeah. Yeah. Big Blue almost got in trouble, but it was all good. You got to go check it out. Go watch it. It's one of our early ones too. So love you guys, but there are so many problems with this case. The FBI, the prosecution, the FBI going into the house, back to the house, that is suspect. So not really. You know, they go back to go get measurements. Let's think about this logically, right? Early on, it was stated that that University of Idaho wanted to demolish the house. Prosecution and the defense were in on that. They said, yeah, that's cool. We'll do that. So then they decided to hold off on demolishing it. And they said, they reported it to the Goncalves family that they're going to hold off on it until, after trial. That was when trial was supposed to have already happened. Now that this case is, I believe there's not even a trial date set. There's no telling how long it's going to be until there is a trial. And I think they're going to probably knock it down. So what they're doing is they're going out there and getting information so they can build a model for the jury. It's simple, guys. I don't understand why, they went back. What do you think they're going to come back and say, hey, we found something on a 5th thing around? No.
And we're already coming up to the year, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy.
Karen goes, Daniel, I believe that Brent was used in some way, and that is why BK visibly upset when his father talked about that during the stop. Maybe Brent figured out and was silenced by roommates. That's pretty wild, man. I don't know.
Yeah, there's no evidence out there to suggest that Brent was ever involved in something like this.
Yeah, none whatsoever. And the reason why the reason why that he's probably upset is because Bryan Kohberger possibly committed a pretty horrendous crime nearby where WSU is at in the nearby town of Moscow, Idaho. And, he also said that they were going to go get, what was it, like some kind of Korean food or something like that? I can't remember. And he's like, we're going that way. And then his dad was like, no, well, we're going to Pennsylvania. And he's like, where are you coming from? WSU. And he's like, I don't know what that is. And so he explained to him that there was a shooting that happened there. And so that way that the officer could put 2 and 2 together to understand where he's coming from. That was it. It really isn't that big of a deal. Okay, I will. Alona Pair with a $10 super chat says, Daniel, say my full name, please. Happy birthday, Jaime. Cheers, young man.
Thank you. I own a pair.
Oh, Iona. Is that Iona or Lona?
I own a pair.
I hate with that. I thought it was an L. My bad. That's a pretty good one. That was a good one. That made me chuckle. The track record is starting to be more firmly established.
Hey, I was gonna ask you, Danny. Any update on the Kojikari?
Nah, dude. I mean, they supposedly found some remains nearby, but I don't think it's been tracked back to her. Not yet, at least. Just like in that other case where the teacher went missing, and they found some remains, but they haven't put out Jennifer.
Yeah,
they haven't confirmed if it was her either.
Damn.
We gotta look back into those.
Yeah, no, for sure. Was it Madalena, right? Is that what it is?
Yeah. Yeah. Madalena Kojikari.
Yeah, that one's crazy too.
Yeah. There was an error that led to the listing of a reduced bond for her mother, though. Did she get out?
What is it, 250?
I don't know. But apparently they accidentally lowered it.
So it went, because it was like 250, wasn't it, at one point?
Yeah. Interesting. Let's see.
Oh.
What it comes down to, in my opinion, is that we learned the importance of asking questions and holding people accountable in our legal system for a fair trial. I agree 100%. I don't disagree with that at all. I want there to be a fair trial. I just don't understand some of the avenues or the thought process when it comes to some of the shadiness around, what law enforcement are supposedly doing. I don't see it. I see a very well planned out case against Bryan Kohberger. The evidence is there. It was thorough. They built a very solid case against him. And, Bryan Kohberger has a good defense attorney that is bringing up some questions and making things seem, shady or whatever the case may be. Well, we'll see what happens in court. Yeah, that's all I'm, that's what I'm waiting for.
Yeah. And we're waiting for one in October and then one that has not been announced yet.
The person who completed the GSK IgG admits she used ancestral sites through the back door. Was she the one that was on the Bryan Kohberger case, though? So just because one person does something illegal or wrong doesn't necessarily mean that everybody does. There are going to be bad apples that fall through the cracks wherever you go in any profession. Do I have to look up clergymen and show you how many issues there are, or doctors, or lawyers, attorneys, city workers, police officers, firefighters, paramedics? Look them up. They're everywhere. Now, if this was the same person, I think you have a point there. But if it's not the same person, I don't know what to tell you. And again, even if they did that, let's just say they did, that doesn't mean that's not evidence sufficient enough to arrest Kohberger. It's not even evidence sufficient enough to bring him in for questioning. because if it was, they would have tried. So what they did was they went and got out his, try to find DNA in his trash. Unfortunately, when they got to his house in Pullman, he was already in the Pocono Mountains out there in Pennsylvania. So they go over there, pick up some trash. And let me tell you one thing, y'all. If there, I'll give you guys a little bit of an insight in this. If you have a suspect, right, let's just say I suspect Jaime of committing a crime. And I got DNA there, and I'm trying to pick up some discarded evidence to match his DNA. And Jaime is doing some amazing work hiding his DNA from me, who was investigating him without him knowing, right? So what he's doing is he's putting his trash in little paper bags, throwing some bleach in and shaking it up real good, and then disposing it, deleting all of his evidence in his trash. That's what Jaime is doing. He's wearing gloves while he does it. Sounds familiar, I think. Anyways, so
you know what? I was about to say the same damn thing, man. You beat me to it.
So
that's like a regular Saturday night for me, bro.
Exactly. And so so he puts his trash in these paper bags or plastic bags, throws a little bit of bleach in there, shakes it up real good, then throws it out in the trash can. I go pick it up. The bleach screwed up all the DNA in there. And he's doing this to all his trash, wearing gloves everywhere he goes. And I can't, for the life of me, get DNA. You know what the next step is going to be? What do you think the next step is, Jaime?
My papa?
You know it. I'm going to go to his parents' house. I'm going to pick up some discarded trash there and get the familial DNA. And that would be enough to get a warrant to go test Jaime. And guess what? That's 100% legal and okay. Angel comes in with a $5 super chat. Sorry, had a dip. Things of that nature. This and that. The third. The whole 9 yards and whatnot. Have 100% awesome weekend, everyone. Love it. That was the best.
Thank you.
I read. Let's see.
So somebody asked us if we will ever do a live in a haunted house.
Dude, I would definitely do that.
Yeah.
I'm down, dude.
I think any house is haunted if you bring me around, honestly.
Dude, speaking of haunted houses, the other day, me and the wife were out here in the living room, kitchen area. I got an open space, so it's in the open area. And we heard, what the fuck? And so I went to the door. Nobody was there. And this was like at probably about 11 o'clock at night. And my buddy Daniel, he stayed at my house. I think you have too, where you said that you heard knocking. Daniel said he had heard some knocking. And I had thought at the time I had this wooden sign on my front door. And I thought that the wind was forcing the wooden sign to make the knocking noise, right? I'm thinking logically. And I took the sign off. And it happened the other day. And I'm like, I don't know. I mean, I have no idea where it came from. No idea what it was. Kind of freaked me out a little bit, not going to lie. But
yeah.
We definitely need to do that.
You still have that picture that I sent you? Not that one. But the
I got all the pictures you sent me.
Good. There was no special folder.
Lucy asked, what is SNP? SNP is a profile utilized to create a... basically, it's the DNA profile used to create to find your ancestors. You know, when you get like that 23andMe or whatever, and you end up spitting their swab in your mouth, and you send that out to them, and then they get a profile created from that, and then they go to work with it. You know, trying to, you know, if anybody has 1 to, or 0.5% of common DNA or whatever, that's like your 5th or 6th cousin or something like that. But yeah, it's completely different than the STR profile. And I'm not a genetic person or claim to know anything about any of that stuff, to be honest with you. I just know that the STR profile is the one used to match certain DNA to certain DNA and to enter into CODIS. So that way it could be matched to a suspect later. I know that the SNP profile is used to create a family tree. That's basically all I know about those two things. Let's see. Scarlett asked, what do you think of the frat house involvement? What do you think, Hyman? Do you think that the frat house, the Sigma Chi, had any involvement in this case?
I think if there was more people involved, they would have been talking. I think they would have. I don't think they would have had to go through the whole DNA process itself,
right?
Because they would have been, they're not gonna be able to keep their mouth shut. One of these guys, you know what I mean? And then like when you put alcohol in that equation, that's the truth syrup, man.
Yeah. For me, I'm going to say that's a big negator. I don't think the frat house had any involvement. I know that Xana's mom had recently come out on a podcast, and I guess she had recently stated that there was some sort of disagreement between Ethan and one of the fraternity guys, and they had left. The reason why I don't think that there's any involvement there is, let's look at the scene. We have to, when it comes to this case, and I think that when some folks do is they'll say, hey, this person did this, and it makes sense for that small fragment of the case. But when it comes to everything else, it doesn't fit, right? So when it comes to this aspect, let's look at the entire case. Let's look at it from a whole. How many frat persons would have been involved? So let's just say, is it 1? Is it 2? Is it 4? How many ever? What do we know about the case? If we think that the Sigma Chi was involved or had anything to do with this, then that means that the DNA on the sheath that belongs to Kohberger was just happenstance, right? So that means that these frat kids went in there, killed 4 people, out of anger, without planning, because it happened that night, and pulled off the perfect crime while drunk.
Well, is this question about involvement in the crime itself, or the day after the cleanup thing?
The supposed cleanup, which I don't think there was one.
The supposed cleanup.
In which there wasn't one.
Okay. Well, either one it's a no for me.
Yeah. And apparently, I don't know, but Kaylee Goncalves had said that they've gotten the toxology report. Came back clean, y'all. No drugs. So, I don't know. Let's see. What do we got here?
Do a haunted house. Just do it.
Let's do the haunted house, dude. Do you guys think that the FBI have investigated the guards involved with RA? Are they watching them now? Anything confirm that these guards were Odinists? Well, they did. The guards did write an affidavit stating that they are not so much necessarily Odinists, but they have certain religions and use certain things that would make people believe they're Odinists. And that's the terminology that I got from it, which tells me that, yeah, they're Odinists. And they came out, they testified, they made an affidavit. They stated that they were wearing those patches and that they were informed to remove them at a specific date. Iona says, now that I know her name, and DNA research is fairly new. Can you imagine how many people will be caught in another 20 years?
Yeah.
It's
going to be like, but in 50 years, it's going to be like Minority Report, when they were stopping crimes from happening.
Oh, yeah, dude. Just, do you think that would be ethical?
Only if it's a crime committed towards me.
Towards you. If somebody's going to break into my house, I want them in jail before they do.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just because, how can you prove that something is about to happen? You know what I mean? It's hard. That's hard.
That's what she said. Yeah.
Let's see. Jules put up the document. That's good. The documents that aren't going to be used in court. I'm not trying to be a douche or dick, but honestly, truthfully, the S&P profile means absolutely nothing in this case. I'll use the words from the judge. It's futile. Absolutely futile. Meg P comes in with the $4.99 super chat. Says, "How about those aliens? I want to hear more about the aliens and why we haven't heard more from Congress." In fact, we have heard. I think there's been some David Grush testimony released and some news articles, and maybe we'll do this Monday. We'll do a supernatural. If nothing happens, obviously, if there's some kind of break or something crazy, but maybe Monday we can do something supernatural. We'll talk about ghosts and aliens. There's this Twitter page that talks about the Malaysian airline that went missing.
Yeah,
and they're trying to. They have this image of this plane, on a thermal, and then all of a sudden these three objects like start circling around the plane, and then there's this like disturbance, like this big old, it just like zaps it, and all of it is gone. It's pretty crazy. It's two different angles from security footage from a jet, I think, from a military airplane. I don't know if it's fake or not. I got my thoughts on it.
Yeah, you sent that to us.
Weird.
It looks super weird, man. I guess I'll save my ghost story until Monday.
Yeah, let's do it on Monday.
We'll
do it on Monday. His defense is ending. Pretty Little Liars is what this is coming to. Have you seen that movie?
I mean, no, I thought it was is it a movie or is it what's it called, the show? I don't know.
I've never seen it.
I don't know, but now I'm gonna have to start watching it.
Yeah, Daniel, I just want to wait for the court and our justice system. Yeah, 100%. I get it. I get it. I too. I'm not saying that Richard Allen or Bryan Kohberger are 100% guilty beyond reasonable doubt. I haven't seen all the evidence. Nobody can say that at this point, right? Not you, not me, no one. And even if because we haven't seen everything, I just think that it's pretty strong right now. It's going to have to take something based on the information that we have. There's going to have to be something huge to point in a different direction outside of looking back at 1880 and trying to claim that Kohberger has a secret family member that committed this crime. It's going to have to be more than that.
Yeah. Way more than that.
Yeah.
He always does.
Yeah. Not only that, but the defense has the information it would need to do its own IgG analysis. Yeah, they could do that. I mean, look at what Richard Allen's defense team did. They pointed the finger at 5 different people or 4 different people, right? Holder, Messer, Elvis Fields, and Patrick Westfall. So 4 guys. They pointed in that direction. They said that's who did it. We did our investigation. We found other suspects. If Bryan Kohberger's defense team is so good and he's so innocent, let's see the documents. We've seen the video of the frat boys with a knife. Used to say they didn't set him up.
No, I've seen that video.
I haven't, but
yeah, I saw it.
There's a lot of people that have knives. You're looking in rural Idaho,
I literally got like 4 of them at arm's reach right now.
Yeah. Like, there's a lot of people that have knives. It is the fact that a person owns a knife make them seem more suspicious than the fact that this person who has there's supposedly a receipt for a knife that can't be found, and his DNA was left on a sheath that he supposedly also purchased. They have a receipt for that can't be found. Underneath the body of a victim. I'm not saying that the frat persons couldn't be involved, but in my opinion, drunken, raged, early teenagers or early 20-year-olds, late teens, don't usually commit the perfect crimes while simultaneously frame Bryan Kohberger. And the other thing is too, if the plan was to frame Bryan Kohberger, they would have had to have known that his phone was off or that he was driving around, between these hours of 4 and 5 or whatever. How the hell do you know that? Yes or no? Did they verify the weapon of this horrific incident? I mean, I don't know. I don't know if they verified it. I'm sure that they think that it is that based on a couple of things. I wouldn't be surprised if there was like metal fragments left in the bodies that they were able to test after autopsy. That wouldn't be in the PCA. What do you think?
Yeah, that, and I mean the sheath itself, right? And then not only that, but the bruising around the wounds could be another thing, or the injury. Yeah.
I saw your Marcus comment.
And you're gonna see it. And I was like, yeah. That's why I was like, yeah. I mean, that makes two of us.
Yeah. Brian has twin brothers, both ex-Marines, both with degrees in psychology. Brian's father has twin brothers. He has twin uncles that are both Marines, I believe. And I don't think Bryan Kohberger has two brothers, right? I don't think so. I think it was his dad that had two brothers.
Yeah, I heard the same things.
Yeah. I looked into it too. Oh, there you go. She goes, sorry, I meant twin uncles. Yeah, he does have twin uncles. But I don't think that the twin uncles would have, let's just say,
even if there was twin uncles, it would have matched right away, and they wouldn't have thrown it to someone else.
Right. I think that there would have been a possibility there of something of what the defense team is claiming if Kohberger's dad was one of those twins. Right. If Kohberger's dad was a twin, and identical twin, and his identical twin had sons. All right. Yeah. And there's a possibility there, but I'm not sure that's the case. Well, I don't think Michael Kohberger has a twin brother. I think I don't think so.
Yeah, it's like the one that I was telling you about about it. Was it Monday? Yeah, the twin brothers. One of them got arrested for a murder, and they found DNA at the scene, right? And it matched to Donald, I believe. And it actually was his brother, his twin brother, that committed.
Oh, wow.
And the only way they got him was because of I think they found fingerprints, and the fingerprints matched to the other brother, which is weird. Yeah, it's crazy.
There are some situations that are like that. I don't think this one is one.
Yeah, nah, me neither, man. I don't think so at all.
A happy hour Frenchies and Old English bulldoggy. We should do a meetup with the Frenchies at Pets and Pals and solve this case. Frenchie detective. Is that in Texas? I got a little Frenchie. He might pee on everybody though, or he can control himself.
He shit on my shoe, man.
He did, dude. That was on purpose.
I've only been nice to him. I don't know why he did that.
Dude, my wife loves that dog to death. And that dog tried pooping on her once while she was asleep. I woke up. Well, that don't smell like Folgers. I turn around and he's on the bed squatting and it's about to come out. And I go, babe. And I was like, Nelson's about to shit on you. And she wakes up all like peacefully or whatever. And I'm like, oh, Nelson, let's go outside. But if I like accidentally cough, like, right, boom, she's wide awake. Shut up. You're keeping me up. Yeah, good times. He waived his speedy trial and FBI was able to do more work. He shouldn't have waived a speedy trial. That's 100% true. That's 100% true. That is the risk you take, right? You have the right for a speedy trial. And typically, like, if you have your evidence and whatever, I'm not going to say that only innocent or only guilty people, waive or don't waive their speedy trial. I don't know. I don't know the percentages of people that have been found guilty who waived it versus those that didn't waive it. I honestly don't know, and I'm not going to make any assertion that is the case. But what I will say is that there is a risk involved when you have your speedy trial. One, you have to the defense has to go through all the evidence and, come up with a reasonable doubt scenario, to present in court. But you also have to give, that puts some pressure on the defense team. But, the prosecution also has to have their case done by then. And if they're not done by then, then they don't get to use it. You know what I mean? So it's a double-edged sword, right? You either get it done as fast as possible. And in this case where, Bryan Kohberger was on the loose for 7 weeks, I probably would have, I probably wouldn't have waived it. I would have gone through with the speedy trial. So that way, because it's one thing if they had like a task force for years building up evidence against this person and them arresting him and finding evidence after the fact, right? And so I wouldn't have waived it. I would have gone forward with it. What would you have done, if you were in that situation?
I'm sorry, man. Can you repeat that, man?
Would you have, in this scenario, would you have waived your speedy trial rights?
No.
No. Me either. I wouldn't give the prosecution more time to find evidence against me.
Yeah, definitely not.
And I don't think I think they're going to look at this, especially if they ever, I don't know, if they find something, let's just say they find the freaking knife, right? Somebody is out on a trail somewhere out in Idaho or whatever and comes across, I don't know, a dug up area where some animals dug into something, and there's the knife, there's the clothing and all this other evidence. That wouldn't have been used against them if they had gotten it, right away. So that's the other risk he's taking right now, is that they don't find the knife.
And some clothing.
Yeah, because if they do, man, he's locked, gone, no chance. If they find the weapon and it comes back to him somehow,
yeah, that's game over.
Over. Yeah. I apologize. Oh man, so let's see.
Yeah, man.
I'm gonna probably skip down to the new comments. I'm sorry if I didn't answer anybody else's, because we're already almost to 2 hours, and that was a lot longer than we thought we were gonna go. The FBI supposedly created 3D back on December 13th. So why are they back doing it again this week? They want a better one? I mean, just because investigators go back to a crime scene doesn't mean that there's something suspicious going on. I don't understand where the connection is, where it's like, oh, they're back there, they must be doing something illegal. I don't see the connection. I don't see where the dots are lining up. I mean, if I see a person walking on the sidewalk, should I automatically assume that that person is selling dope or a hooker or some crazy? No. Just because these persons are, these investigators go back to the crime scene. So what? I don't understand where that's a problem.
I'm still waiting for that 911 call.
Mm-hmm. So people in the chat are saying the first lab, the ISP lab, didn't initially find BK's DNA profile and run it through CODIS. That's not what the court documents say. Court documents say that the STR profile, and it says it in several different ones. Now, we go back to Ann Taylor, right? Do you think that if this was the case, all right, if this was the case that the first lab didn't find the STR profile, that it had to go to Othram, and Othram discovered the STR profile, right? If they didn't find it, like, one, I mean, it doesn't, no, it's not true. Whoever's reporting this, and they're pretty much flat out wrong. It is in several documents. Who is Bryan Kohberger's attorney? Ann Taylor. Y'all think that Ann Taylor's this amazing attorney, right? And she could be. I'm not saying she's not. But if she's this amazing attorney, why isn't this information, out there? As this is something that would be out, I would believe that there would be a suppression of evidence on the STR profile if this was the case. Not on the SNP. The SMP is futile. I mean, it's meaningless. It doesn't matter. Right? If this was the case on the STR profile, then yeah, they got an issue there. But if it's not the STR profile and it's, the SMP lab, Othram couldn't find the SMP. They couldn't create it. The FBI had to go create it. So what? If you don't think they did it right, throw it out. They're not even using it. So. And the other thing is, Jaime, going back to 1880, is that a defense of an innocent person? And I'm going to read this one, and then we're going to probably end the show there. It says, BKN's lawyers know he's screwed. Of course, he waived the speedy trial. The prosecution's case is rock solid. All the defense has is crying about the IGG and implying he was framed. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Before we go, I want to say a special shout out to Miss Joan. She's one of our Joanne. She's one of our members, our subscribers. I just want to say our thoughts and prayers are going out to you and your family right now, and are hoping for the best.
Yeah, for sure.
So with that being said, you have any final words, Jaime?
I'm trying to see if I can, do it how Blue does and make us feel uncomfortable at the end of the show. But no, man, no. I just want to say thanks to everybody on the chat, members, mods, you, Big Blue, even though he's not here. I bet you he's eating one of those bratwursts for me. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But thanks for having me.
If he put some red cheese all over or salsa, it's for you. You know it. All right. Well, that being said, guys, we'll see you guys next time. I want to thank real quick RJ Benfield for your $2 super sticker. We appreciate that. We'll be back on Monday, and unless something happens, something pops up. I'm gonna go look at this stuff that is coming out because I honestly don't know anything about it. I know that Howard Bloom had mentioned it. That there was a lack of that the DNA was small, but then ended up not being the case. So, but y'all have a great weekend. If you're still here and you're not subscribed, I don't know what you're waiting for. Just do it. Peace out.